Well, welcome back to Q&A with producer Evan. We've got producer Evan in studio, and also in studio joining us for her first News Channel 7 Plus today
Q&A.
is Emily Clay.
Hi.
Yes,
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Our first reporter to join us for Morning.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
super
right.
exciting.
All right.
So we got, obviously, packed panel here.
Yes.
But also, I wanted to kind of touch on today about dreams. And I say that specifically because the Gulf Coast Salute Air Show starts today. And Trey, I know you wanted to be a pilot, but I kind of wanted to go into what's a career path you considered taking before going into news, or was news always your career path? Trey, I'll start with you because I threw it with, you know, the air show today. So.
Yeah. And I'm glad you remembered that, Evan. Yes, I have always wanted to be a pilot. I'm super interested in aviation. Meteorology just won out, but as you can see on my tie, I wear an airliner as my tie clip. But yes, I've always wanted to be a pilot. I even have my own simulator at home. I have a yoke and throttle of a Boeing 787 directly from Boeing. Cost me 10000.
Is that a stick or is it?
It's a yoke, yeah. So it's like the wheel, more like the wheel.
Okay.
All the Airbus have the sticks, so they do it with the one hand. But I have a yoke, and then I have a throttle. I can change the pitch and the roll of the aircraft, and change the flaps and slats, and then the pedals as well.
So what was the transition from? It seemed like you wanted to be a pilot when you were younger.
Yeah.
Maybe still a pilot in the future, but what kind of transition from being a pilot to going into meteorology?
So pilots and the love of aviation, all of that kind of was encompassed in the middle of a meteorology sandwich. So meteorology was the first love, weather was the first love, aside from sports, of course. But I always wanted to be a meteorologist to some extent, but kind of mixed in the love of planes and aviation in the middle there, because I was pretty scared socially for a while when I was younger. It's hard to believe. All I do is talk. But that was kind of my other, I'd say, backup plan. I hate to call it a backup plan because I love the field of aviation, but I was thinking, well, at least you'd have to talk to air traffic control and your fellow pilot, maybe the flight attendants, but I wouldn't have to talk to as many folks, or wouldn't have to be in the public eye as much. But then I thought, you know what, man, that's a cop-out. And so I just pursued right on with my meteorology career after high school broadcasting. And my teacher, Mr. Chuck Massey, brought me out of my shell, and oh my goodness, did he have his hands full.
Got you to put your big boy pants on.
Yeah, he sure did. And it was always, we laugh about it now, but I was coming out of my shell, and I didn't often talk that much in class, really at all, until high school broadcasting. But some days he's like, Trey, I'm telling you, one more time, that's it. And then finally he's like, all right, out in the hall. He'd call my dad, call Roger Tonneson. And he'd call my dad, what'd he do this time, Chuck? Just being a disruption to my class. I'm like, I'm sorry. My dad's like, come on, man, come on.
It's like I'm there.
I know, the impressions. I mean, I've never met these people, but I feel like they're spot on.
Yeah, that was Chuck for you.
That's good. Well, he got you out of your shell, and now you're here, so.
Yeah, bless his heart.
Yeah. All right, let's move down. Emily, what about you?
So a little different for me. I kind of knew I wanted to do journalism or something along the lines of journalism. So being from here, this is Panama City Beach, is my hometown, went through Hurricane Michael. And so that kind of, I didn't even realize that a lot of what I was doing just as, a citizen was journalism. I had this camera, and it was a Canon Rebel EOS T6. And I love that camera. I took it with me everywhere, and I documented everything from the hurricane. Wow. I remember like a gas station, the top of it blew away into like the building. Got some pictures of that. We were kind of over in the North Lagoon area. And so I didn't even know at the time that was journalism, and I was talking to all these people, things like that. And then also watching the coverage of, News Channel 7 here, grew up watching News Channel 7, kind of being inspired by that. And then I was already in high school at the time of the hurricane, but I had the opportunity to do the morning announcements in high school. And so I think that, coupled with kind of realizing that I was already doing journalism, kind of pushed me in that direction. And then I went and I found Troy University, who does, I knew I wanted to do broadcast, and they do 3 live broadcasts a day over there. And so I got my degree in broadcast journalism, and now I'm here serving the community. I love doing the thing that I love.
Especially in your hometown too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It makes it so much more meaningful. Every story that I tell, there's, we try not to interject our, personal thoughts and feelings into those stories, but it is like, it hits home because it affects the people from home. It affects my parents, my siblings, everyone. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have you been able to utilize some of that footage and use it for any kind of reporting, looking back on Michael?
I wish that I actually had it. So I don't know. I think it was on a laptop somewhere that, in college got probably spilled Coke or something on it, when I was studying, knocked my drink over. I went through 2 laptops in college. I'm embarrassed to admit that, yes. Both results of me being completely clumsy and just, we got the insurance on it, the 3rd laptop, okay, guys?
3rd time's a charm.
3rd time's a charm. You would think we would have done it the 2nd time, and no, it took till the 3rd time.
Full warranty.
But I didn't have any of the photos backed up. So I have what I actually took and put onto my phone in my Google Drive.
Yeah.
But I don't have any of the raws anymore, which is unfortunate, because it would definitely make for an interesting project here to compare and contrast and look back.
For sure.
That's an essential piece to storm surveys. Even what you were doing is such a crucial piece, and the Weather Service has even picked up on that over the past few years, at looking at not just their own storm surveys, but people's photos from the events, because as you well know, a lot of the differences in storm surveys from tornadoes to hurricanes, it's different in terms of damage. Tornadoes lean heavily on damage, and so they show up right after the storm and survey what that damage is there, but depends on what the homes were built like. If you have a strong tornado but the homes were built weaker, then they sometimes rate the tornado weaker because they say, oh, well, those homes were set up to fall, to a sense. But with hurricanes, they go back after the fact and they look at that damage through locals' photos, like you were doing, photos and videos, and they can say, oh, well, after the fact, since we have this, we can gauge, oh, well, like you said, the gas station top blew off and blew so far and blew into another building, they can gauge, oh, well, it took what was this structure this far, blew it this way. And so now we know that the winds at that area were at least this strong or blowing in this manner. So that's very important for storm history.
I could have helped with science. I, wasn't really on social media a whole lot at that time, but, I definitely would have donated my pictures had I known.
Hey, you donated them to the cloud.
Yeah, sure.
Well, what about you, Mia? Did you want to be a scientist when you were younger?
Oh my goodness, no. The opposite, the exact opposite. I think if you had asked a much younger me, I would have said I wanted to be an artist. I was always interested in basically every media, every form of art. I did a lot of paintings. At one point in time, during my early years of high school, I had a nonprofit that was called the Cartwheeler, capital ART in Cartwheeler, and it was a nonprofit where I made art, and I sold it, and the proceeds went to Casa Guatemala, which is a place in Guatemala that helped with housing, healthcare, education for kids there. And then I'm from Guatemala, so that was special to me, but I loved art. And then I talked about this somewhat recently, I think, in a Q&A, that at one of the high schools I went to in Rhode Island, our entire graduating class did a World War I debate. And so when we did that, we were split into 5 countries, and you had to do a debate basically saying that your country didn't start World War I. And we kind of really walked through it, did a whole bunch of different sections for it, where one was a Socratic seminar that was really asking you basically what you knew about how the war started and the impacts and how we're still seeing things today. And then there was like, we played diplomacy, which was really fun. Wrote a lot of papers on it and things like that. And so by the time I had left that school, I moved around a lot in high school. But when I had left that school, I knew I had an interest in politics because of that. So I thought I was going to go into politics, but I didn't know in what capacity. And when I first went to Liberty University, I went in as a politics and policy major because I loved their school of government. I thought it was really interesting. And I had taken like a government AP course in high school, but it was very different in college. It was different taking that first class and some of the reading that they were having us do and how much kind of recall you have to, like, I love history, I really do. But it was in that moment that I realized like I was not about to be a politician or a lobbyist or in that capacity. I think it's so interesting. I have such a love for history, but I just couldn't do it.
So what dragged you into journalism where you're documenting current history? It's not a callback, so.
Oh my goodness.
Don't fall.
For one, I realized that if I went into journalism that I could still talk about the politics and still like be up to date with what's going on without having to be in politics. And then it was kind of funny where journalism and news has always kind of been its own kind of drag path in my life, where I did all these different newspaper classes throughout high school and middle school. I always loved it. I think it was a lot of kind of getting over myself, like kind of similar to what you were saying.
Chuck call you up as well?
Yeah. Mia? Oh no.
I didn't have Chuck. What I had was Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny was an English teacher that I had who really, really encouraged me the entire time I was living in Rhode Island. And it's funny, I actually have just recently hung it up near my desk, is I have a note that he once wrote me, and I've kept it all of these years now, that says, my goal is to get someone as bright as you to show others what can be. Make sense? And that really hit me. So I think back to kind of like getting over myself about it is I joke with people when guests come in and we're doing interviews that I can do that, like that to me isn't so much a problem because again, every single day I'm with you guys here in the studio and there's cameras, but I can kind of disassociate that like people are watching. So it makes it different. But the second you put me in front of a literal crowd, I can't do it. So kind of getting over myself with that and recognizing that there's, like I have such a love for it that I'm having that willingness. There's actually a song, and I'll stop talking in a second, but there's a song that's really good. It's called Come On Mess Me Up, and it's by Cub Sport. And I listen to that song a lot because the whole idea of it is that this band, the lead singer, has really, really bad anxiety. And that's the whole, basically the premise of the song is that he's got anxiety, that he'd like get really sick going on tour. It was really stressing him out, but he loves it and like wants to be the best at it and has such a passion for it that the song's called Come On Mess Me Up because he's asking it like, okay, like this is what I want to do. Go ahead, come on and mess me up.
Huh. That's nice. Awesome. Yeah. Set it up on a tee there. I think Mia has given Evan some ideas for the next few days. Next Q&A, most inspirational teacher.
You want to do my job? That's
No.
That's good.
I just really want to do more Chuck impersonations, but you're not getting out of it this easy. Evan, you still got to give us your story.
I do. So I always wanted to do film. So in middle school, I remember writing down a piece of paper, like, what's your dream job you want to be? Whatever. I said filmmaker. And so I went to school. I went to University of Missouri. And I didn't go for journalism, but it's known as one of the biggest journalism schools. And as I was doing my film studies, I realized film wasn't particularly what I wanted to do, at least like narrative filmmaking and making movies. The process to make a movie is a grueling task. It really is. And so getting like behind the scenes of that, and I had some fun, but working on like a big crew or working with a big crew just did not seem interesting to me. I kind of like what we have here, where it's a smaller crew in compared to a movie film set, obviously. And more people can pitch in their ideas, not just the director has what they can go into the movie and stuff like that. But so my major was digital storytelling. So what's funny is you guys talk about like newspaper and broadcast. I was in my high school's newspaper. And so after I realized I didn't want to do film, I kind of fell back onto journalism. And so when I moved down here last year, I saw that the news station was hiring and my criteria fit what they were looking for. So I applied, and I mean, I'm super happy of what we do here, so I can't complain. I didn't have like a Chuck or a Mr. Kenny, so.
Chuck's becoming a household name. Mr. Massey?
Maybe I'll give it to Mia. She's the one who says, like, is the reason why I'm on this Q&A. So I'll give you that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So sweet.
All right, well.
I just start crying.
All right, well, that'll wrap it up. But first, I want you guys to follow me on my Facebook and tell me what you dreamed to do as a child and what you're doing now. Was there some overlap? Was there a big change? Let me know. Producer Evan, WJHG. And again, if you have any questions, news, weather related, this is a perfect time because we spend nearly 20 minutes talking every day about whatever questions. So.
What's your follower count up to now?
It's not what's on the screen. That's probably a good 3 weeks old. I'm
Wow.
pushing 30 though.
Okay,
wow.
yeah,
14
all right. Yeah.
to 30. That's,
Hey,
double
yeah,
the number.
You're
So-
averaging a couple.
I did
I
like
always
when
say.
it was just sitting at 0 every time it would come up.
I like to say it's a fresh Facebook, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We're slowly growing, and we'll get there someday.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for a great Q&A, and thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a bit.